I'm Just Saying is sponsored by hoarder.com. Go to gfu.hoarder.com and get 10% off your entire purchase. FreshBooks. FreshBooks is an easy-to-use online invoicing service that saves you time, gets you paid faster, and makes you look professional. Get started completely for free at freshbooks.com. And by audible.com. Get a free audiobook by going to audiblepodcast.com/GFQ. Hey everybody, welcome to I'm Just Saying Week 83. I'm Andrew Zarian. I'm joined by Lon Blaze, as I am each and every week. How you doing, Lon?
I am doing great.
Did you watch the Super Bowl? Did you? You watched something, right?
No.
Nothing.
No.
Nothing at all.
You mean having to do with the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
No. I watched The Big Chill.
Okay.
Because that's a really great movie. I watched Moneyball and Midnight in Paris.
How was Moneyball?
I like Moneyball a lot.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I think Brad Pitt's doing a Robert Redford impersonation.
The entire
movie. If you close your eyes, you think you're listening to Robert Redford, and when you open your eyes, you think you're looking at him.
Oh, that's funny.
But it's really good, and Jonah Hill is really, really good. Really underplayed kind of role, and even Joe, who doesn't care a fig about sports, as you know.
Yeah.
And you know, she's not here, so I think you have to say, because you know me, I love sports, but I don't care to watch them.
Yeah.
And my rule is sports and porn, things I don't watch.
Okay.
Just things that I do. You know? If you said right now we're getting a bunch of guys together and we're going to play touch football, I'm your boy. I'm right there.
You were going to say we're playing porn.
No. Ooh.
But see, I watched it. I watched it yesterday because it was really easy. It was the first time they aired it online.
I heard you mention that.
And I was watching it online on the computer, and it was really easy to watch. But the problem with it was,
when you say easy to watch, what does that mean?
You went to NFL, and it was just, there was no jumping through hoops.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Most of the time with a lot of these stuff, you got to register, and you got to
okay.
sign
So it was
up.
just easy to access, and then what's it like compared to the television broadcast? Well,
the quality was good. I mean, it wasn't broadcast quality, but it was good quality. Mm-hmm. The issue that I had with it was
are you listening to the same call? Are you listening to other people?
Well, the cool thing, it's the same call, but you have different camera angles with this. So that was a cool thing. You could switch the angle. If you want to switch the angle, you could replay it.
Okay.
The thing that sucked about it is that when it comes to sports, I can't watch old sports. It's like listening to a radio show. I can't watch a dated, I can't listen to Howard 2 days after it happened. I have to have it as it's happening.
Okay.
With this, it was a minute and a half behind. So when I knew that the Giants won, it was already a minute and a half after they won, and I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah, well, I saw the Facebook updates in places and stuff. You know, I think it's really funny because I live in New York and I'm from New England, and I just didn't care. And it's not that I don't care. You know, I used to go to high school football games when I was in high school because I knew the guys playing.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. I'm really a person for direct involvement, either doing it myself or knowing someone that's in the game. Otherwise, it doesn't...
See, I watch it. I'll watch games, but I don't really get into it.
Yeah.
I'm not like those people that was going berserk. I'm sure, people were
face
having a heart... I Facebooked that I was watching the game.
Yeah.
I Facebooked that it was a good game.
Yeah.
I didn't Facebook telling the other person that I want to have sex with their mothers because,
Yeah.
they're losing or I'm losing.
Yeah.
People go nuts. We discussed this last week. People go really to an extreme level with just stuff like that.
But I think if people are sitting there by themselves, I don't think they're as bad as when they're sitting in a crowd doing it. I think, it's a crowd
you think
mentality.
So? No, I think they're as bad.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think they... I was on Facebook and I was
So you want to come to our Oscar party and we can scream and paint our faces?
Is that what we're going to do? The black and the gold?
Yeah.
Those are Oscar colors, right?
I guess. And we're going to put a big red carpet down and...
I was watching... I was on Facebook while I was doing it and
I'm just thinking if Meryl Streep wins, I'm like,
What are you going to do?
In your face, to the other... the other... Because there's the big Streep-Glenn Close rivalry.
I guess there are people that get really into stuff like that, too.
Well,
they get upset if, their person doesn't win. But you
yeah,
kind of
but to
guess
the point,
with
but
that.
You get upset. I don't know. I guess I'm unhappy if someone who I think really deserves it wins, but I don't call the other person a slut or something because he or she won. It's just like, oh damn. What were they thinking? Oh, that was wrong.
But
again, it's like by an hour later, I'm like, what's in the refrigerator? I'm not, my day isn't ruined. Listen, at the boot camp classes were in half today. Because people were like sleeping off the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it was hysterical.
everybody was drinking. Did you hear the fireworks?
No.
People were just throwing up fireworks and they were going nutty. But again, like I can't get behind.
Because we're number one.
I'll tell you why I can't get behind. Like if the Mets won, I would get behind it because that's our team. We're in Queens, they're right here. The Giants are in Jersey.
Yeah, and they're having a parade in Manhattan.
And they're having a parade
if I were
in
in New
Manhattan.
Jersey, I would be really, really offended.
Well, they've been saying that they want something, but I can't connect with that for whatever reason. Like even with the Jets, because like that's the way that you go. Like if you're a Mets fan, you like the Islanders. You're a professional loser if you're a Mets
how
fan.
there's some sort of obligation.
There is. Like if you're a Mets fan, you like the Jets, you like the Mets, and you like the Islanders. That's how it works.
Okay.
You're supposed to.
I'm such a crappy fan.
All three teams never win. So maybe that's why I can't connect to it, but I can't connect to something that's so far away from me. Like there are people I was watching on Facebook. There was this one girl that hates the Giants, and she's a Patriots fan. And her reasoning is that she hates the Giants because Eli Manning is ugly, and that's all she kept writing is how ugly Eli Manning is.
Yeah, I love how people glom on to these points that I'm like, and
she went into a whole battle with somebody on Facebook
because if she supports Tom Brady enough,
yeah.
He'll have sex with her.
Well, this is a girl. Have I told you the story about the crazy girl who gets flowers sent to her house every year from Leonardo DiCaprio and says that he actually sent them?
Oh, really?
A local girl, and I've told the story 1,000 times. I had a caller call in to tell us a story, and it ended up being that I know her. Like I went to school with this girl. She every year for her birthday gets flowers delivered to her job or to our house, wherever, and she tells everybody it's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Both.
Yeah, to both, whatever. I mean, long stem roses, very expensive. And she'll post it every year on Facebook saying, "Oh, he did it again. He knows. He still, he still loves me. He still cares for me." And she tells people it's Leonardo DiCaprio sending the flowers.
He wasn't even nominated.
And I'm thinking, out of all the women in the world that Leonardo DiCaprio could send flowers to, why is it to a girl from Queens with a snaggle tooth? Why? Why you?
Because all the rest of the girls from
don't
have two snaggle teeth.
Yeah, they have nice teeth.
Oh man, really?
Yeah, it's sad.
Wow. Isn't delusion an amazing thing?
But like you're sick at that point, right? Like that's a mental illness.
Yeah, but there are people that walk down the street thinking they're Napoleon. That's a little crazy. It's the people that try to take over Long Island because they think they're Napoleon. Those are the truly crazy ones. If you were able to listen in on what everyone was thinking, they'd all be nuts.
I'm a lunatic.
Yeah, everyone's crazy.
People know that.
Everyone's out of their mind. It's like it's just certain stuff that sends you over.
Do you think that changes as you get older? Like when you
what makes you crazy, or
like those weird things? Like
where I'm at now, at the age that I am, I look at certain ones of my friends, and I'm sure they look at me. I think this is the scariest part. I look at certain one of my friends and went, "Oh my God, I always wondered where crazy old cat ladies came from." And this friend of mine, who I've always thought was a little weird, is becoming the crazy old cat lady. I mean, literally, this person has many cats and can never really find a guy because the cats never seem to like the men.
Oh, is that what she says?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And they're not nice like you, Lon. And it's like, I wouldn't like the cats either,
She's going to come and tell you, listen, I'm going away. Can you feed the cats? You go over there. She hits you over the head with a pan, and you're in the basement with the cats for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
and that's how people go missing.
Yeah, it's like misery.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what happens to people.
It's really spooky. It's people get locked
You think people's like weirdness is always there at a young age, and it just explodes when they hit like 40?
It explodes
because you could handle
it. It explodes if it doesn't get exercised somehow.
Okay.
I think some people get their crazy out.
Okay.
It's the people that don't get their crazy out and go, I have this little crazy inside me, and I'm never letting it out, and I don't have to tell anyone about it.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are like, I know someone that went to high school with Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oof.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was he like?
He was very quiet.
Yeah.
I love
that.
All the lunatics are like, I don't know. He was a really quiet guy.
That's the best thing. Like after like there's like a mass killing.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hey, did you know Lon? He goes, yeah, he was always a nice guy. He said hello in the mornings, and he would get the paper, and he'd always wave. Very quiet though.
Very quiet, very polite. You know.
Nobody ever says like, oh no, that guy was a bag of crazy. Yeah. Like he was just a bag of crazy, that fucking guy. Like that never happens.
What I love is that I am now of the age too that like a lot of stuff that now has names and conditions and syndromes and psychoses.
Yeah.
Like there were 2 hoarders in my town and they were just the wacko people.
Yeah,
but now like they would have their own show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, now they would be like, oh yeah, they have they're hoarders and they need therapy
and issues. No, they were just nuts. And you stayed away from them.
One of my neighbors here
is a hoarder.
I'm sure you could tell which one. If
Yeah.
you walk in their house, it's just piles of everything that you could possibly imagine from 1930 to now. Like they have sections, like they have every newspaper just stacked.
Because they're going to get around to them. Like in an age where you can bring up any newspaper article that was ever written, back to the Egyptians.
Yeah.
But no, they need that. They need that.
I'm a bit of a hoarder.
Are you?
Yeah. Jess throws I'm a bit of a hoarder.
Well, you've got compulsions all over the place.
Yeah.
I go through like little mini fits of compulsion, and then I like purge it, and then I'm good.
No, like I'll go through my phases. Like I'm one of those people that thinks like I'm gonna need this one day, and I most of the time do. Like I end up needing it. Like with screws and stuff, I'll never throw like spare screws or like bolts away.
Well, I have a box of them.
I do too, but I have like 1,000 boxes, so I'll keep all of them. Like I'll never. Like if I disassemble IKEA furniture, I'll keep the bolts, or I'll keep a leg.
Okay.
Thinking I'll need this. I'll need the piece of wood. I'll never throw away wood. You never throw away wood. You keep the wood, and then you're gonna need it one day. 15 years from now, I'm gonna need that IKEA leg off the cocktail table.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I pretend I'm moving every 6 months.
Well, that's a good way of
doing it. And I purge.
It.
I always say every 6 months my house has to lose 150 pounds.
See, my problem is I do that. Every couple months, like, I've cleaned the studio a bunch of times. Like, you've come here and like, yeah, I was cleaning the studio all day. I'll throw away $100 pieces of equipment. Like, when I get in there, I just throw everything away. But if it's like a piece of paper...
feast or famine.
Yeah. I either have to keep everything or I have to throw everything away.
Yeah.
Like, I've thrown away $100 routers. Like, 3-4 of them. Boom, boom, boom. Threw in the garbage because I'm never going to use it. I don't want to see it. I have to throw it away because I'm going to hang on to it for the rest of my life.
Okay, so you get into a weird place, but stuff
broken laptops, I keep them. I have about 8 broken laptops. I haven't turned them on in about 10 years, but I need to keep them.
Because
I could possibly fix it and do something with it.
We got to get a Dr. Drew here or something.
Yeah, it's way too much. I don't want to know.
I think we should try and get Dr. Drew here.
But these things, like, I wonder, like, they say you are who you are at 6 years old is who you are for the rest of your life. Yeah. And I do believe that. I think that is true.
Jo constantly accuses me of being one of the nicest people she knows.
It's a little too nice?
Yeah. And she said, it's like sometimes she just wants me to get pissed off at people. Like I'm dealing with an issue with a business now. I'm not going to talk about what it is. And I've gotten pretty far taking care of it by being, yes, I understand. Okay, is there someplace we can go with this? No. I'm doing that. And she's like, I would just scream at them. And I went, I know you would. That's why I'm taking care of it.
That's why I'm doing it.
That's why I'm doing it. And she's like, yeah, I know. You're right. She's right. That's what we bring to each of these things.
I wonder what's right.
Well, like, were you a little crazy kid?
Crazy in what way?
Well, you think that stuff you're doing now, were you like compulsively cleaning at 6?
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah. I would
see. I think all the stuff that I do, kind of, anything that's like remotely crazy, I kind of developed into.
I remember I was a kid, and I would clean everything with rubbing alcohol, and I would take rubbing alcohol and clean my floors in my bedroom, night and day. I would just always clean with rubbing alcohol. I've always had that, like the cleaning thing. I've always had because my great grandmother, my great grandmother was like that. She had severe OCD with cleaning. I mean, to the point that like she would clean for 15, 16 hours. Just clean. And every day, that was part of her thing. Like, she would have a breakdown if she saw a little bit of dust. So that, because I grew up with her,
wow,
that went to me. And I'm like that now.
Well, it went to you, but there are people that, like, And it's your grandmother's, so it kind of skipped a generation.
Yeah. No, my grandmother was always good, but not like that. I mean, nobody was like that.
Yeah.
I guess like it was just installed in me.
Yeah. I'm
instilled.
Yeah, instilled.
Instilled.
Checking in with the English
It was
teacher.
installed with me.
Probably installed.
They probably did install something.
She installed it. She installed the button. She pushed that. Yeah, it's. I think there's a bunch of stuff that happens to you as you become an adult that even like, I think it's good and bad. I think there's stuff that you do when you're a kid that's a little weird that when you do it as an adult, it's kind of cool. I once told a parent that I thought their kid was going to be the greatest used car salesman ever when he grew up.
Did you really?
Yep. Because the kid was such a giant pain in the ass,
Yeah.
but he was a charmer. But he was a pain in the ass. He couldn't, he wasn't meant for a classroom. And there are kids that aren't meant for classrooms.
Growing up, my mother would always tell me that I could convince anybody to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just very good at that. Like, I make you believe that this is the right decision.
And there are people that
like
that.
at a young age, I would convince my parents to
you
buy
so
a
could have
certain
used
car.
your powers for evil.
I guess I am in some extent, but my parents would tell me like,
listen, you got me to do a show for nothing. Come on.
Well, exactly. I mean, and this is the point, right?
How much
like,
you gonna pay you?
Well,
here it is.
Nothing. There's no pay, but you could come and do a show every week.
Yeah.
But I've done, you're not the only one though. There's 20-something people to the network not getting a dime, and everybody's doing a show. They're really behind it. They're doing editing and they're doing video stuff, and there's nothing really. I mean, everybody's doing it because they like to do it. I really wonder, like, if I convince these people to do this, I could convince them that I am the Messiah and I can start my church.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it happens.
Well, someone saw me in the classroom once. An adult saw me in the classroom and said, you could go all Jonestown if you wanted to. You know that, right? And I went, what do you mean? He said, oh, yeah, you could convince anyone of anything. A group. Like one-on-one, no. But he said, in a group, you can get a group dynamic.
Well, look at
going.
Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs is one of those people. He convinced millions of people that they need a Macintosh. They need an iPhone. Not that you want one. You need it. Yeah. This is it. This is what you're going to buy.
I just got the 4S.
You did? Yeah. How do you like it?
I don't know. Siri doesn't want to talk to me all that much. Though I do like the speak text. You talk and the text comes up. That's kind of cool.
See, you got an iPhone.
Yeah.
Why'd you buy an iPhone?
Actually, I liked it.
Yeah.
Well, I needed a phone.
You think you like it, but deep down inside, you need an iPhone.
I do. Oh, okay.
I think these are things that you have as a child, and it develops as you get older, and you either know how to use it or you don't know how to use it. Like, I know a lot of people that are very good at convincing people, but then it just turns to shit once they realize what they're doing. Like, they're very good at making you think.
Well, I think we were talking about this before. Someone who seems like seems like they would be successful, but they aren't. They can get ideas off the ground. They can get ideas to you, convince you that it's a great idea, and then never come through.
And never come through with it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of people like that.
I worry about that sometimes because, but I give myself permission to dream because I used to think, well, if you can't finish it, don't even think about it. But my feeling is if I think of 1,000 things, at least I'll get 42 of them done.
Yeah.
And that's what I need to do. That's the way I need to do it. It used to make Joe crazy because I would go, you know what else would be really cool? You know what would be really great? You know what would be really great? And there's many things that would be great. Mm-hmm. And I never thought, all of them would come to fruition.
Yeah.
But at least in thinking, it was like I was thinking out loud. If I could think out loud, I can get some things to happen. I don't think I would have accomplished half of what I did. She used to be like my reins when I directed and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, whoa, slow down.
When, now we were discussing something early on. We were discussing when do you become an adult, right?
I think that's kind of part of it. I think it's when you kind of embrace when you kind of embrace responsibility, even for yourself or for others. Because I asked the question today on Facebook, and a lot of women. Well, let me see if you can guess. What did a lot of women say when they felt like an adult was? They
felt like an adult. I don't know. When they had a kid.
Yeah, when they put the baby. No, and they said it wasn't while I was pregnant. It wasn't while, because some ladies are going to have to chime in here. I wish I had Joanna, who doesn't have a kid, which I think is an interesting take too, because she never decided. She decided that she wasn't ever going to have a kid.
Well, you had a lot of people respond. I'm looking here. Somebody said yesterday when they got their first apartment.
Yeah. That's kind of thing. Like when you know that you're going to have, I think indebtedness does it sometimes when you know you're going to have a monthly bill and you just know that you'll work and you'll come up with the money to pay that monthly bill. And usually one of those first ones is rent. Sometimes it's a car, but in New York, a lot of times it's the rent.
I still don't feel like an adult. Like, I don't feel like I've grown up.
Ever?
No. Yes, there are times that I do because I'm running, like, here's why I do and why I don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a business, but I was really young when I had it.
Uh-huh.
So I still wasn't in the mindset.
It seemed like a game.
Almost. Like, and I'm doing this now for a living, and I do it from home. And it's like I play all day. Yeah. That's how I see it. Like, I don't see it as a job because I enjoy it. I think when you feel that you have a job and you don't enjoy your job, that's when you become a grown-up.
Yeah, I
when
can,
you're
I
not
can do
enjoying
that,
your job.
That I can agree with that in that when I taught, I never felt like a grown-up.
Yeah.
And what I thought was hysterical is when parents would come to me and go, well, what do you think my son, my daughter should do? And I'd be like, I don't know. I'm just a kid. Yeah, like in my head, I'm a kid. Like, I think the vast majority of the time, I'm like 9 years old. I still get like really like, wow, that is the coolest thing ever about things, you know?
I guess when I got married, like when I got married, I
still didn't feel like, I didn't feel like a grown up when I got married. I felt like, I don't know if it's because I acted and because Joanna acted, but I felt like I was playing a part. Yeah. And I think sometimes when someone says things like, sir, ma'am, or like someone called, I was in a doctor's office with Joanna and someone called Mrs. Blaze. And my first expectation was that my mother was going to walk around the corner. You know, I didn't even use the term wife or husband. And we use it all the time now, but we didn't use it at first. You know, we were just Lon and Joanna. You know, we didn't talk about, you know.
I guess it's different for my generation because, like, I guess like a lot of my friends. Well, we did have a war in my generation. A lot of my friends went to war.
Did you hear? I have my own generation now.
What is that?
They said that from 1954 to 1965 is Generation Jones.
Why Generation Jones?
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Keeping up with the Joneses
and jonesing for things. It was like a double meaning.
Well, because you're in a weird situation because technically you're Generation X, but you're not really Generation X.
Well, that's why they came
up
with, we wished we were hippies and we wish we had gotten into technology. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We're really funny. Someone once asked me, like, someone a little bit older than me once asked, so Lon, where were you hanging like the summer of '69? You know, for like Woodstock and stuff. And I was like, I was wondering if Batman was going to get away from the Riddler. Yeah, you know,
you had no idea what was happening.
No, I mean, I knew the moonshot, and that was really cool and exciting and stuff. But I was a kid. I was 11.
But were you aware of the entire counterculture revolution happening?
Some of our, my friends' older brothers and stuff,
they were
just started acting really weird. Yeah. Now realize I wasn't in New York. I was in a little town in Massachusetts. So
when someone started acting weird, everybody knew.
Yeah, you had like 4 hippies in town, you know? Because the hippies were the people that were eventually all going to move to New York and they were going to be unusual. A generation before, they would have been the 4 unusual people that made their way to New York.
Well, the hippies were the baby boomers. I mean, hippies, they were the baby boomers. And then there was your generation that kind of was in this weird spot.
We have actually been included in baby boomers for a long time, and we're not. Because we're not the result.
What year were you? You're 50.
My birth year?
Yeah.
58.
58, okay. So you are not Gen X, but you're still in the baby boomer.
Right,
time.
And this is what they're saying, that they're, what's weird is that baby boomers are almost exclusively, this is weird, Democratic. Jonesers are almost exclusively Republican.
Well, baby boomers were Democrats, and now they're becoming Republicans. Right. That's what's happening.
Well,
they had too much fun. Now they're ruining it for everybody.
Well, now that you have something to lose.
Yeah, 46 to 64 is post-World War II baby boomer.
Yeah.
But it's not really.
You should look up Generation Jones.
If you were born in 64, you
I wasn't
missed all of that.
Right. I wasn't the result of my dad coming home from war and getting
my
mother
dad
pregnant.
is 54. He was born 1954.
Yeah.
But he missed that whole hippie
so
thing.
Weird.
He missed the whole hippie thing. He was too young for that. Jessica's grandmother, which...
Can I say this on the air? Your dad is younger than my wife.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Your dad's younger than... No.
No, my dad is 50, turning 58.
Oh, a year 54. I thought you meant... No.
No, 1954.
54.
Yeah. Yeah, 1954.
Yeah. Joe's older than your dad.
So if you're born in that age, I mean, it really, that's your generation, right?
Right. At the end, that whole...
Like, I'm not Generation Y.
Yeah.
I guess I am. Like, what generation am I? Because I missed the Gen X thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you were a teenager in the 90s, like if you were like mid-teens, early 20s in the 90s, you're Gen X.
Right.
That's how I see it. I think like 69, 70, 71, if you were born like there to like 80, 1980, 81, 82, you're Gen X.
I always feel that my scope of years, and I've always said this, it's interesting that there's now a generation for it.
Generation Jones?
Generation Jones. I heard it today. First time I ever heard it. And that was
look at the Generation Jones. Okay, let's see this. It's between 1954 and 1965.
Yeah.
Many have children that are in the years of Generation Y and early Generation Z. So Generation Y is 1980s and early 90s. Generation Y. The Echo Boomers, the Net Generation, Generation Next, the Millennium Generation.
I love that they all have them, just like your grandparents and your parents.
I know. I don't know. It's all weird.
It is.
See, I remember my cousin is 7 years older than me.
Yeah.
No, one is 7, one is 10. So he's 10 years older than me. I remember when I was 8, he came here and he was 18, and he had just gone to like spring break. So that would have been like in the 90s. So he was like Gen X. Like he was part of that whole thing. You know, the grunge movement and all that stuff. Like that was his time.
Loose clothes, yeah. Flannel, like tied around your waist. Girls did not know how to wear heels.
No, went away that year.
Yeah. It was hysterical. Because I used to do plays, and I'd ask girls, you know, like for costumes, or my wife would, because I would never ask a girl myself, you know, what size shirt do you wear? And they'd go, you know, extra large. Like everyone wore an extra large because everyone wore oversized stuff. And that was those were the years where I did a play at a girls' school, and this play was set in a girls' school in the late 1950s, and they had to wear heels. So I got a box of heels for the girls to wear during rehearsals. No one could wear them. They were falling around them. And I said, you got to practice in them. So they kept practicing in them. And wait a minute. And they said, this is not easy. I'd like to see you do it.
You put it on. And
Next day I walked in I went to a tranny shop.
That's the start.
Got a pair of heels. And I walked around the entire. And then what became weird is what they were like, you're really, really way too good at this, Mr. Blaze.
They also call it the Peter Pan generation because we're not growing up. That's what they're calling our generation.
Your generation?
Yeah, mine. Which is true.
Why would you? Everyone's living in. It's become economically difficult to have your own home, so no one grows up. And all these things that when you do them, you feel like a grown up. We didn't talk about mine. You know when I did? It's when I thought my wife was dying.
Yeah, when she got sick, you had to grow up. Yeah.
Yeah, and they said, "What do you want to do?" And I was like. I was now making it. I think sometimes when you make a decision for someone else's life, because I have a friend that contacted me today and didn't want to post it on the Facebook thing. She talked her dad out of beating her mom.
Okay.
At 6 years old.
Yeah.
Right? And she said, I felt grown up, and I said, you didn't feel like a terrorized kid doing that? She said, no, because I felt like I was my mother's mother.
Yeah.
So it's when you truly take responsibility for someone else.
Somebody said, I'm just going down the list. I'm trying to find some good ones. Somebody said the day I put my son in my arms. Yeah, I mean, you had a kid.
Again, the moment you have responsibility, because I will say it because the most minor version of it that I can come up with is Aggie. But, you know, I always said that I'd take a bullet for any one of my students, but I would just like so definitely take a bullet for my own dog.
There's some that you would kind of move out of the way.
Yeah.
Some students.
I'd push them so that no one got hit by the bullet, but I wouldn't take the bullet, you know.
It's interesting. I don't think Jess and I feel like adults. I don't think we do, because we still, I mean, we have responsibilities, but we don't. Like, we could still go out if we wanted to till 3 a.m.
I think there's a lot of pretense. I think a lot of times, like, you think you're going to do something and it's going to make you feel like an adult. Like, I think buying furniture, because you all know you have the guy friend that still has, like, milk cartons and planks as a cabinet, you know, and they have a mattress on the floor kind of thing. And that person, like, never grows up. And then when they're, like, in their mid-30s, they buy a bed. And you still realize they're just a kid that had enough money to buy a bed.
Yeah.
Or someone gave them one. You know, like their parents the parents are now in their 60s and they're like, Jesus, the kid should just have a bed. You know,
I mean, I think it's slower, right? I think we grow up at a slower rate now. I mean,
I think we grow up stunted. Yeah. I think, like, you know, it used to be you turned 18, you graduated from high school, you know. Many kids didn't go to college, so you went into the adult world.
And look at before that. I mean, look at before your generation, right? Yeah. People got married a lot earlier. They went to work. They dropped out of school to work and support their families. So if you look at, you know, the world... Again,
it's responsibility for another human being. Yeah. I think that really, really is the thing that...
I mean, we're one thing that a lot of the Gen X people didn't have is that they didn't have war. I mean, we had the Iraq War, we had Bosnia, but that wasn't really war. Like, we weren't at war.
Right. It's also not. It's non-draft wars.
Yeah.
The moment you know.
Well, no, but I'm talking like even Iraq, like the second Iraq, my time. You know, Afghanistan, Iraq after 9/11. You know what? 9/11. I would say 9/11. I felt like an adult because that was the first time in my life I felt vulnerable.
And world responsibility, almost.
Yeah, almost like what do you mean I can't do whatever I want to get away with it?
That so impacts you. It's so weird.
I've always said that. I think and a lot of my friends don't have that. There's a disconnect with them. For me, that was the moment. And I knew that a lot of people were affected because I was going out the couple of weeks after that, and I noticed that a lot of the people that you would see weren't out.
I think
they made a responsible decision not to go out.
I think it goes one way or the other. I think people went out as if the world were going to end, and other people hunkered down.
Yeah. They started reflecting, saying, wow, look at this. I mean, I was 17. I was in senior year of high school. I was 17. Mm-hmm. That is the age that you don't think anything bad could happen.
Right, because you're invincible.
You are. I had a car. I had a job.
It's no mistake that soldiers are like 17 to 19.
Sure. That's the age.
Right, because I ask you at 17 to go over this hill and kill other people. You're like, yeah,
let's do this.
Because you don't go, well, there's a chance I might get killed. You're just like, cool, I'm going to get to kill people. Like, and I'm going to defend my country and all this. You know, you turn to my age and you go, well, when exactly did you want to go fight? Because I got an appointment and I got a migraine a little, so I thought, can we go out and kill tomorrow? You know, yeah.
Well, I have a lot of buddies that went and signed up right after that. Right, yeah. I mean, it happened, and they went and they signed up, and they've been in the military for X amount of times. I think some of them just finished now because they kept re-signing. But it's interesting because I wonder if they would have done that if they were 21. Would they have, if they were 21 during the time that it happened, would they have signed on?
I know a lot of kids, my former students and stuff, who got to college, couldn't find themselves, didn't know what they wanted, got to grad school, so they're now like 21, and they contemplated the military, and they looked into it, and they were like, yeah, I think that might be like a place to go to graduate student, and I could go to graduate.
They became a cop.
And you know how many of them ended up in it?
How many?
None.
Yeah.
Because they all, like, the other ones who just like got out of high school and went, this college thing isn't working. Boom, right into, right at 18, went into the military. They're there. They're in. And then it becomes what you know. We all everyone's about what they know. If you get yourself into,
I mean, I can't fathom, at 18 being understanding of concept, just general life stuff happening, to go have a gun in your hand and start shooting. I mean, if I think what I was like at 18, I don't know.
The very thing, this is going to loop back, the very reason that I couldn't be a very good soldier is the reason that I'm not a really good sports fan.
Yeah, you're not behind the team.
I'm not a team guy. You know what I would be? You know what I would make an excellent...
But Lon, you know what?
If I were in war...
They kind of put that team mentality in you. I mean, I'm coming from a family that was in the military.
Right.
I kind of
But you know what I think I would be really good... You know what I would be really good at in war? I wouldn't be a good spy. I'd be a good scout. If you sent me up and said, crawl up in there into enemy territory and look around, if it was just me, I'm good.
Yeah.
I know what I can do. I know what I can't do. I'll wait my second. I'm not going to go crawl ahead because this guy tells me You should go now.
I actually got something interesting. One of my friends just said the first time he felt like an adult is when he was a cop and he had to shoot his gun for the first time.
Wow.
And for weeks, he just kept thinking, what did I just do? I just shot at somebody.
Do you know, I was stunned at how many cops like never fire their weapon.
Oh, the odds of you firing your gun is slim.
Like even in New York.
Yeah.
Like,
No. I know every cop that I know. I'm from the neighborhood. You know so many. I could only tell you one guy that I know is that guy that just messaged me that I know that have fired a gun. You just don't. You don't have an opportunity.
What does that do to your head, man? Because think about it. It's like as if you're going to say, one day you're going to have sex. So you're going to practice a lot.
Well, you know,
and
the
then never
NYPD,
do.
well, the NYPD, the way they do it is, which is very interesting. The second you fire that gun, you have to see the therapist.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Why did you fire the gun? They start analyzing and they have to okay you to go.
I wonder how long that's been in effect. Like, how far do you go back
I
in time?
think in the 90s they were doing that.
No, I know they were. No, I think like even in the 70s they were to some degree. Yeah, to some degree they were. Like, I think that you just spoke to your sergeant and stuff.
They would say, "Are you okay?"
But there was ramification from shooting. But at a certain point, it was like, "Shoot your gun. How was it?" Yeah, I don't know.
I'll give you a perfect example. I know a cop, and there was I can't tell the story. Shit, I can't tell the story.
You can't?
No.
What, he's going to cue people in? You'll have to tell me this later.
I can't. I'm trying to think legally if this guy could get in trouble, and he probably can't. I can't tell the story.
That's all right. Did your parents ever, like, because has your dad ever said that he does or doesn't feel like an adult or the time that he did?
No, my dad was an adult very quick.
Did he say that though?
Because
there are people that run countries and say they still don't feel like.
No,
I have a friend that says I still don't.
He had to take care of his family.
This friend has kids. This friend has grandkids, and does not feel like.
No, my dad was in the military. I think that's when he felt like an adult.
Yeah,
because you kind of have to. So I think that's what made him into an adult. Like I don't think. Like Jess and I, we work. We have good jobs. Jess is in school. She has a good job. I don't think we feel like adults because we are now put in this situation where we are responsible. I mean, we're kind of responsible for each other, but we're not responsible for
like the whole fact that you have other people living here.
I guess we still don't feel like that.
Yeah.
I mean, to an extent we do, but like it doesn't.
That's fair. I was just wondering.
If we're thinking, you know what, we want to go away.
Yeah.
We can. I could just pick up and go if it wasn't for my job. You know, like I can't. It's not like, well, I can't because who's going to look after my kid? Like we don't have that. I think that also makes people into an adult.
Yeah, I think it's. Well, isn't that weird? Is it like the people that don't feel like adults? No, see, I can't say that. Don't feel responsibility.
To an extent, I think responsibility has a lot to do with being an adult.
Right, but what I'm saying is that I know people who have said to me they still don't feel like an adult. I know people who have said, I watched my kid. I once heard Garrison Keillor say this. Garrison Keillor said, I'm watching my kid walk up to receive his high school diploma.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when I was receiving it myself, I was thinking, I'm just a kid. I'm just a kid getting a diploma. And he said, and now I'm watching my kid go up and do it. And I'm still thinking, how can I have a son that's getting a diploma because I'm just a kid?
I think it comes down to two things, your mortality and responsibility. Responsibility over others.
Do you feel mortality? I mean...
no, I don't.
See,
I don't.
I of late do. Because in essence, it sort of dawned on me.
Have you had people close to you pass away in the last couple of years?
Oh, yeah.
You have. How has that impact? I mean, were they around the same age as you?
I think what's weird is I talked about this. The false alarm heart attack that I had might as well have been one.
Yeah.
Because it dawned on me that unless things go really different and really well, I have less time than I've already had left. And that for that to be a realization is kind of odd.
I think that could be your moment, to think about that.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like an adult before that. And I also think it's not a switch. You switch on and you feel like an adult, and then you feel like an adult every moment after that.
But again, Lon, you have to also remember, like, my generation is not like any other generation that exists right now, because we are in a generation where it's like Toys R Us
Yeah.
for everything. We like you had as a kid, you have the toy store. You become a teenager. You get the car, you get the house, and then that's it. And then you have a couple of
toy,
nice things.
your car.
Yeah, or you know what it is, like you have that one or two things, and then you just
Focus on those.
Focus on those. Like you get a bigger house eventually when you have money. But now,
or the stereo system, or the car.
But now,
the
like
rich people and
everything,
and
everything.
Right.
You have everything. I mean, you can have 15 TVs in a house. Hang your entire wall with TVs. You have credit cards. Just max out the credit cards and buy whatever. Who cares? We'll pay it later.
Yeah.
We could be in college till we're 50.
Yeah.
That's my generation. Now, why do we don't need to grow up? It's the Peter Pan generation. It's exactly what it said. I think this is the only time. I'm wondering if the generation after us, the generation that's coming up now, the kids that are maybe a couple years old now, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, are they going to be the same way when it comes to things?
Well,
or are they
someone
be
said
more?
there can't be hippies again because we're too dependent on the information. Like hippies couldn't break away and not talk and not have communication. Hippies are going to have to, the new hippies, if there are any, are going to have to use the technology. Someone said that the new hippies is the green movement.
Well, the hipsters. You have the hipsters in like Brooklyn. I guess that's equivalent, but no, it's not because they're still, living at home with their iPhones.
But people are going to develop high-tech ways of, like, I was watching a house made out of bales of hay, and it was, like, really amazing. You know what I mean? I mean, it was stuccoed over, and it was really incredibly strong, but it was made out of bales of hay, and someone's developing that technology and such. It also was, like, it had solar heating and everything. I think it's going to be, hippies were not stupid. Hippies were intellectuals. There were tag-along hippies who were like, let's just smoke dope. But the leading hippies, the movement was led by intellectuals.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, we're in a very interesting position right now.
I don't think there's who are the intellectuals now? And see, back then, the hippies, even the freakazoid guys that just smoked all the time, sort of had respect for the intellectuals. I don't think the intellectuals get respect anymore.
I think everybody's going to college now, so everybody thinks that they're an intellectual, but they're not.
To me, college is now high school. High school is now junior high. It's about the same value.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that's another thing that why people don't grow up anymore? I think
no child has been left behind because no child moved ahead.
Moved ahead, yeah. That's actually really good. Do you think it's because like we instead of graduating high school, getting a job, settling down, now it's you graduate high school, you go away to college for a couple of years, you come back,
and live with your parents.
You live with your parents. You take a couple master's courses here and there.
Like the idea of living with your parents. Even when I was there, I knew 2 or 3 people, and every day they'd go, I gotta get out of my parents' house. Not because their parents were awful, but because they were an adult. You didn't do that.
But I don't think you can now.
Right.
I
know.
No, there's like, especially in this area.
Right.
We were talking about this on Friday.
Yeah.
And Spencer was saying, it seems like your generation, a lot of people stay at home till like they're in their 30s. And I'm saying, yeah, because most of the time you don't want to move down in life. Like if you were, let's say you're in Bayside, right? Mm-hmm. You live in this neighborhood. There's no way you could afford. I mean, the odds of a 25-year-old affording better than this, very slim or equivalent.
You have to go somewhere else.
You have to go somewhere else.
But
so
you
have to go.
know the statistic that like 95% of the world dies within 2 miles of where they were born.
Yeah. So where are you going to go? I mean, honestly, you're going to stay at home because you can't afford a $750,000 house or a 2-bedroom ranch.
Right.
I mean, the market is so ridiculous.
Well, see,
here.
my generation, your parents' generation, was the next step.
Your parents bought the house.
You needed 2 incomes. You bought in. Your parents had their kids. Your mom didn't work. But as the kids grew up, mom started to work. 2 incomes started to become not just a luxury. At first, it was a luxury. It's like, well, we can get stuff if mom works. Now that the kids are...
We can have the Buick.
Right. We can have the second car maybe, that kind of thing. And now, see, people don't want just the second car. Now people want the BMW and the second, it's like no one has just a regular car anymore.
No. Look at society. Look at where we are.
Right. It's
everybody has a MacBook, right? You have a MacBook. I have a MacBook. He has a MacBook. Why do we need this? Why do we need to spend $1,000 when that's $300 does the job?
Yeah.
Because we can. because it's in front of us and we can do it. Imagine 30 years ago, right? No laptops, no cell phone bill, no internet bill.
Right.
These things were gone.
Right.
Yeah, you made less. I mean, well, I don't even know if that's to be true. 30 years ago, did you make less than you do now?
Yeah.
Think about it. For a college graduate, you made less then than you do now?
Yeah, 30 years ago you did. In 1980, yeah.
1980.
Yeah,
If you graduated with a bachelor's.
Right. 1990? Another decade? No, not so much.
Not so much. Yeah, the 90s. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Let's say 20 years ago.
But that was the decade when everything came in.
Yeah. Everybody made money. I remember my dad in 1989. He got a raise to 6 figures. 1989. I remember that. I was 5 years old. I remember that day because I think to my family, we felt rich.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of money then. Like, I remember thinking that at that time. Like, I remember 1990. I remember when my dad, like, the conversation with him and my mom, like, I remember thinking, like, oh, my God, if I made that much money.
Yeah.
And then I would always think, I'm like, well, if they're making it now, like I got a little older, I was like 13, 14. I was like, well, if my dad is making money this much, if I go to school and I get out and I could get hired, I'll make even more than he did because that's just how life works.
Right. No, not a reality.
Yeah. Kids are going to not an Ivy League, but they're going to a really good college. They're coming out. They have $100,000 in student loans and they're getting hired for $38,000.
This works into my principle that there are now just too many people.
Yeah, get rid of a couple.
There are now just too many people because in order to sustain this economy, everyone in this economy has to both produce and consume.
James in our chat said something good. He goes, we're almost at the point where everybody has a master's. So then what happens?
It doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything.
So
my wife is getting her my wife's getting her doctorate.
Right.
You know, she's almost done. In
a
couple months, she'll have it.
You know, I don't know if you heard the unemployment rate in this country is now at 8.3, 8.2%.
How much?
8.3. Okay. If you wheedle out of that the unemployment rate for people who have a college degree, okay, and just report on them, the unemployment rate is like 4.2%.
With a college degree.
If you have a college degree.
It's 4%. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I mean,
it's only half.
I mean, what I'm saying is people who have a college degree, only 4.2% of them are unemployed.
Yeah. But again, I think that stat is going to be more... Are you talking after college or during college? Because
I mean after college.
But nobody's after college. People are taking courses for the rest of their lives. Right. If you're not employed, you're back in school. So right. that's a flawed thing. Let's look at how many people are unemployed while they're. Let's look at the age.
What I'm saying, there are unemployed people who have college degrees, who have bachelors, who have masters, who have doctorates. There are people that are unemployed with those. But there are far more people.
But do you know why they're unemployed? Do you know why they're unemployed? And I'm going to say something I might get a little crap. And I'm not talking about. I'm going to talk about the people that I know. My people that I know. I went to school with. They went to a really good school. They came back. I have one guy. He has a master's degree. I'm not going to name names.
Can I say that I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I have a degree in theater. Yeah, and a degree in English.
Yeah, and you did pretty well with that.
And I did okay.
Kunal has a degree in English.
Yeah, I mean
he's not doing much with it.
I know I every day I know how lucky I am.
I'll give you an example.
I really know how lucky I am.
So let's go based on people I know, right? My generation. I could tell you that these kids went to school. They took not bullshit courses, but let's say they got a degree in English. Let's say they got a degree in journalism. Let's say they got a degree in communications. Let's say they got a degree in name me another one that really business management. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, right? They came back. They finished school. They got their 4-year. Some went for a master's, some didn't. But each of them expected a job that's going to pay them $60,000.
Yeah.
And they had jobs offered to them. And you know what they would do? I'm not going to work for $40,000. I have a degree. I got a degree. I didn't go. And this is what every one of them is saying. I would say you're really lucky to get a job at $40,000 because guess what? That 40 is going to become 80 in a couple of years.
You know, it's weird. You know, we talked about how people who feel a responsibility who have kids. You know who has a degree who's taking the $40,000 job?
Oh.
People who have kids.
People who have kids, yeah.
Yeah. The other people have the luxury of saying.
But I would tell them, I'm like, but do you understand? Like, this is an entry level position. Eventually, And I don't know if they were unprepared for the idea that you start at the bottom and you work your way up. But I think because my generation, this you got to get the degree, you got to get the bachelor's, you got to go to college, you got to go to a good college, you got to go to a good college to get a good job. It's kind of forced on us, and it's etched in our brains that we think we're going to get out and be like, well, how come I'm not vice president? I have a degree. I should be hired as vice president because I know everything. The idea of getting real world experiences went away with my generation. It was you go to college, you get a degree, you get a good job, and you buy a house.
Yeah, and it will happen.
And it will. There is no if. There's no Lon. You're not. Trust me. You're gonna go. You don't need to look for.
There's a passage into the room.
It's a golden ticket. That's what college is. They hand you the diploma, and you walk around the streets, and everybody's offering you a job.
Right.
Maybe that was true in '91.
Yeah.
When not everybody went to college. Not everybody had a degree from St. John's.
Well, you know the girl that you met at our party who was from the Midwest?
Yeah.
She doesn't have a college degree. She's the smartest girl, one of the smartest girls I know, in that she doesn't have all this debt chasing her and stuff. I mean, it's so...
How old is she?
32.
Different generation.
Yeah.
They're a little older. Different.
Yep. Yeah, because people roll up their sleeves. You know, now it's like, you want me to what?
Yeah, I'm talking about the 20 right now. They would be between 20
these people.
They would be between 24 and 30 right now.
I think there's an odd blessing in here. I know a lot of these people don't have kids, and I'm glad.
Yeah.
It's like, please don't have a kid.
No, it's
maybe this is how there'll be less people, Andrew. The selfish people won't have kids.
I think more and more people are having kids late. Therefore, they won't be able to conceive as easily. So maybe they're not having as many.
Kids.
Or have as many.
Yeah. See, I'm telling you, this may be the odd.
Before people had kids at 20, now they're having it in their late 20s.
Well, the average bride now is 28. It used to be the average bride was like 22.
Holy crap. Jess was 22. I was 24.
Yeah.
We got married young.
Yeah.
People look at us and they're like, oh, well, you guys got married way too young. I'm like, yeah, but we were settled. We were fine.
You know what? I know the girl that was Joanna's maid of honor was the same way. She knew the guy forever, and they were going to be married. And she's got like 5 kids now. Boom. Yeah. It's just done. You know what I mean? And that's who she was. There's another one of my former students. When I met her in 7th grade, she was taking care of kids. And I said, this girl's going to be, if this girl isn't married at 17 or 18 years old, she'll be pregnant.
Yeah.
And she was. And not because she's a bad kid. It was just like she had like the mom gene in her. Like, boom. Just she was meant to be a mother.
It's interesting, though. Very interesting conversation, Lon. But we do have to wrap it up.
All right.
Go to our website, guysfromqueens.com. Also, subscribe to us. I'm just saying is on iTunes, Zune, and everywhere else you can imagine.
I'm not going to be an adult anymore.
No, none of us are. Lon, any plugs?
The boot camp, if you're out in Bayside, is going really well. I'm doing the AIDS ride again. And that info is on my Facebook page, and all of a sudden I don't have so many GFQ people Facebooking me, and that's sad. But I'm here.
Follow along, Lon Blaze.
Yep.
And we'll see you all next week. And I'm just saying good night, everybody.
Yeah. Okay.